Can you take minutes while Joy's in with board review? Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call the regular city commission meeting of December 15th, 2015 to order. If we could start by all rising and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are copies of our agenda available both at the seat at the back of the commission chamber and up here at the front table. I would like to start with an approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Any changes, deletions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Start with approval of the minutes, both for the regular meeting of Tuesday, November 24th, and the special meeting of Monday, December 7th.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for November 2nd and the special meeting of December 7th.
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Any discussion? Yes.
I have two corrections. The first one is on page 4. At the very bottom, the resolution R79, 2015. This was the motion regarding the L4029, and we did amend the motion at the meeting to include that the city would aggressively pursue the delinquent funds from the city of Detroit, and it didn't make it into the motion, so I just want to make sure that that gets included. And then on page 7, strike the word commissioner in the motion under R85-2015 and replace with mayor pro tem.
I'm sorry, what page is that on?
Page 7.
So that should be replaced with Mayor Pro Tem?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other changes? Commissioner, you accept those changes?
Yes.
All right. Second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Communications. I don't think we have any communications unless you have some that I'm unaware of.
No.
Okay, no communications. Our county commissioner could not make it this evening. She asked to be excused and will join us in January. Now is an opportunity for public participation. This is for the public to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. Do we have any comments from the public? Hearing none. Public participation is closed, and we'll move on to our first presentation from the Teen Council. We have Callie Jansen here from the Teen Council to give us an update.
Hello. I'm Callie Jansen. I'm the council manager. I'd like to congratulate you all on your new positions and extend an invitation for you guys to come join a teen council meeting. We meet usually the first and third Thursdays of every month at 7 at the rec center. Our schedule is in the Hometown Herald, and then you can like our Facebook page or follow our Instagram, HW Teen Council. This year, we've done a lot. We put together 200 bags of good wishes, which is bags that contain toiletry items and socks and gloves that we give out to the homeless. And we just donated 125 bags to the South Oakland shelter. Also, last month, 8 members of the Teen Council attended the Michigan Youth Symposium in Detroit. The Youth Symposium is a teen conference planned by teams of teens from councils in the state of Michigan and their supervisors. Myself and Bryn Cudney were on the planning committee, and our community service project that I just mentioned, Bags of Good Wishes, won Outstanding Teen Program of the Year, and I was awarding the Continuing Education Scholarship from the Youth Symposium, and we came in second place at the lip sync competition, so that was cool. We're again silver sponsors for the Michigan Victory Games, which is a great thing. I volunteer at them and I love it, so I highly advocate for us to be involved with it. And the games are for physically challenged athletes who compete in a variety of sporting events such as track and field, bowling, swimming, bocce ball. And the games are held in May at Michigan State. Also, our meeting attendance has been between 30 to 50 teenagers every meeting. We have theme meetings like our annual Halloween costume party, and this year we just started an ugly holiday sweater meeting, which was cool. After our meetings, we also have events like dodgeball. We made s'mores, we've made snow cones, we do team building activities. We've had a lot of events this year, such as Heyday, the Monster Mash, and this weekend we just had the Holly Jolly Santa Party. And our teens always do an amazing job, and our events make them so successful. And upcoming at the beginning of the year in either January or February, we're planning a restaurant night to help the Meals on Wheels Foundation. As soon as we pick a restaurant, more information will be coming out, and then a percentage of the total bill will go directly to the Teen Council, and we'll turn and donate the money to the Meals on Wheels program. And then this year is our biannual softball game where we are with Public Safety to go against the men's club. You guys are all welcome to join if you vote for us, though. It's May 5th at 6 p.m., and it should be a good event. And then lastly, our trips are always a blast with our middle school wild ride, and we're looking forward to our progressive dinner, ice skating at Campus Martius, and Foaling, which is an event planned with other teen councils, so we stay connected with them throughout the year. And then I brought some teen council tumblers for all of you guys, so.
Thank you.
That's nice, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I suppose these are for non-alcoholic purposes.
And that was it, so have a good night.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for
very
the
much.
update. The Teen Council is very active in our community, and I noticed that we have a few student reps missing from some of our board and commissions, so maybe we'll reach out to you to see if you can give us some suggestions on who to contact to fill those spots. Moving on, it is time for a public hearing on the proposed CDBG grant. Amy, do you want to take that?
Yeah, this is the second public hearing. It is on the agenda tonight for adoption. For the proposed spending the city has laid out is for what the amount that we can allocate toward bus drivers, which is capped. Money set aside for refurbishing of the public restrooms here at City Hall so they become ADA compliant. And then the balance of the money, a couple $1,000s, we're recommending be returned to Oakland County so that they can use it in their home repair programs, for which Huntington Woods income eligible residents would be able to tap into.
And Oakland County will cover the cost of administering those dollars, which is why we have opted to do that. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on our proposed use of the plan, so I open it up to the public. Any comments? Hearing
Yeah,
none.
I've got one comment,
Are you public?
as a resident. Okay, as a finance director.
Short comment, Mr.
Short comment is, we have done this for 20 years, and to date, 100% of the funding that we have received federally has been allocated and used. That is, there's zero remaining in our allocation at Oakland County, so we've done a very good job at utilizing federal block grant dollars for the proper purposes.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, I'm gonna close the public hearing at this time and move on to our normal items of business. The first item of business is regarding the LaSalle Boulevard parking restriction during extreme snow events. Amy, do you?
Yes, this item came to my attention. I received an email from a resident that lives on LaSalle Boulevard that was concerned that emergency vehicles might not be able to traverse LaSalle Boulevard during periods of heavy snow. One of the things that we do with LaSalle Boulevard is it's narrower than most of our streets, and when we plow it, we plow actually going the wrong way so that the snow is all piled up on the boulevard, which is great for the residents who don't have to shovel out their driveways, but then when there's a lot of snow, it gets piled up higher and higher and higher on the boulevard. And because that road is narrow and emergency vehicle trucks are wider than normal vehicles, if there's not snow and they need to pass a vehicle, they can go over the mountable curb on the median to get around the parked car. Of course, that becomes impossible to do when there's large snow. So talking to Public Safety Director and our DPW manager, it's our recommendation that only in instances where there is an extreme amount of snow piled up on the boulevard, that there be temporary no parking for on-street vehicles in order for the emergency vehicles to be able to go down LaSalle. And again, we're not talking about dustings of snow or a couple of inches of snow. We're talking about those extreme events like we had a couple of years ago where it just gets piled up and piled up and piled up, and trucks won't be able to get onto the median and won't be able to get pass cards. And we also have Lieutenant Bell for the Public Safety Department here, if there's any questions from anybody on the commission or from anybody in the public on this. We did send letters out to everybody on LaSalle Boulevard. I did hear from one resident, apparently we also sent them to the section of LaSalle that doesn't have a boulevard, coming off of Coolidge Road. This, of course, wouldn't impact them. And so we're here for you to consider that policy change. And public safety would be responsible for putting out, determining when the no parking signs would go out and putting them up and then taking them down when the emergency is passed.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept this change in policy?
I have a question.
Well, I have a comment as a commissioner, but you want me to wait?
Well, let's have a motion.
All
on the
right,
floor
I'll make a
and then
motion
discuss
to
it.
accept this as a policy change. Item of business number 1 on LaSalle Boulevard, to give the public safety the authority to prohibit on-street parking when it's determined during an extreme snow event that an emergency vehicle could not safely pass down the street.
Second?
Okay. Any comments from the commission before I open it up to the public?
Yeah, my comment is, I don't see this matter as a city commission issue. In other words, I see this as public safety 101 on the part of our chief of police and on public safety director rather, and on the part of our city manager. I mean, this is a matter of basic public safety, and it's not an attempt to inconvenience anyone or do anything, in a arbitrary fashion. It's basically to assure that if there's an emergency situation, that a vehicle can go down the street without getting caught in the snow. I mean, let's be blunt, that could have catastrophic consequences for the person who happened to be waiting for that rig to show up. This is, like I said, to me, this is public safety 101. I brought it up earlier to our city manager. I don't see why we're considering it, but here we are.
All right. At this point, I'm going to open it up to public participation. If you could please come to the mic and identify yourself and your address.
My name is Brian Seatsma. I live at 10504 LaSalle Boulevard. I'm the one that contacted Ms. Sullivan about this initially. I guess my concern is we've only lived there about 4 years, so I've maybe only seen this where I've been concerned about it a handful of times, but there's certainly been some days where, so we sort of live right by the fountain, kind of right in the middle of the block, where there is no way a fire truck could get through after a couple of really heavy snowfalls. I guess the one thing I would ask you to think about is, if you do this, can Public Works then come in and clear the snow off of the median so that we don't have to wait for it to melt before we can park in the street again? I mean, at some point that snow's gonna actually have to be cleared off of there, because if you just wait, it could take a really long time before we're gonna be able to have it passable by fire trucks again. So that would be my only
You mean
question.
without damaging the foliage and.
No. I mean, if you, so like Ms. Sullivan said, you plow the snow to the median. It gets plowed onto the median, and it piles up there, and then you tell people, okay, you can't park in the street because there's not enough room between your parked car and the snow pile on the median now to get through. That means at some point you have to come in and clear that snow off the median. You can't just leave that giant pile of snow there because it's not going anyplace, and so what, we can't park in the street until all the snow melts in the spring? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we did
Okay.
talk about that, and we will make every attempt to
Great.
remove it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be, we need, of course, get the rest of the city cleared, et
Right,
cetera.
right.
And around the fountain is especially dicey. But yeah, we are aware that that would be something that would need to be done,
Okay,
if we can, depending on how much snow there is.
right, okay. That's my only comment, thank you.
Thank you.
Claire Gillette, manager at Public Works. I just would like to caution you on this. It's true, I live on LaSalle and we do put a lot of snow on the island. We also put a lot of snow on people's easements. And we have to be careful about, and I live on LaSalle, so I know the impact this has on residents. We start taking the snow off the island because we've piled it up. We already have a lot of people who call us all winter long because we've put snow on their easement. And other people have put snow there and they can't see to get out of their driveways. We're talking about extreme snow events, not, like we had last winter, but that's probably the first winter we've had this problem in years. Be careful that we start taking the snow from there. We're gonna be, and we don't have the manpower to be starting to do the entire city. And I can tell you how many calls I get from residents saying, you piled the snow up along my driveway, I can't see out anymore, or I can't, come knock it down, come move the snow. And I'm not sure that this city, with the limited staff that we have, is prepared to start removing the snow from every easement. And then we have the problem of where you're gonna put it, which is another problem.
I think the idea was to remove it from the boulevard.
But it's the same problem as everybody else in town has.
Take it out of my driveway.
Thank you,
I mean,
Steve.
but when you
Yeah.
plow my driveway, that's the same thing.
Yeah, the problem is identical for every single person in the city. The difference is that in LaSalle, we put that snow on the boulevard, on a one-way street, basically. Everywhere else, we put it on the easement, but the problem is exactly the same. The problem is that the snow is in the way, and people have to wait for the snow to melt, for it to, or go out and shovel it away from the end of their driveways, which happens. I mean, people clear their driveways, the snow gets piled up, the problem exists all over town, and we constantly, all winter, if we have a lot of snow, we get calls from all over town.
Claire, is it possible to, the street is, this is 2 blocks, 3 blocks? How many blocks?
4.
All right, 4. Is
3
it
and a half.
possible when, in terms of devising, how the snow is plowed, that it can be directed one way or another, or, managed differently, like piled and then moved, as opposed, look, we're talking about one street, okay? And I hear all this about we're talking about somebody who needs an emergency medical service,
I
or a
understand.
fire truck, or a police car. So, very frankly, to me, the rest of this all pales in comparison. Who's got snow on their easement or something is not very important. But nevertheless, I understand that it's still a problem that has to be dealt with. So the question is there some way to manage the snow? We're talking, granted, in an extreme, one of these big snowstorm situations. So the question is it possible to manage it, say, okay, push it to halfway down the block, then move it, I'm just asking.
No, and that's a good question. The
Okay.
reality is, as we come down the street, we either have to put it on the easement, which has a whole other group of problems, or we have to put it somewhere.
Right.
And so,
But the ambulance or whatever it is isn't going down the easement.
No.
It would, only in an emergency situation, go down the the median.
Well, right now, larger vehicles go over that median all the time. The problem is that when we have an accumulation of snow,
Right.
we're really looking at an accumulation of snow. This never happens in one snow. It tends to happen if we have a season of snow where the snow builds up, which is what we had last year, where it never goes away. And so by the time you're done, we had snow all over the city. So the problem's gonna be, my caution to you is not doing this. I think this is fine. I live on LaSalle too. It will inconvenience me and people who come to my house. But I think we need to be conscious that that the problem for residents, because that's what we're talking about now, is the same throughout the city. It just happens not to be on the easement, it's on people's houses. And by the way, when we get a lot of snow, there are other parts of the city where parking is allowed, where I suspect public safety probably wishes it weren't. Because when we have a lot of snow, we can only push it back so far. And you go down some of the streets like Ivanhoe, and there's somebody parked, it's tight.
Well, that's an issue for other
Right.
things as well. It's an issue, for example, for construction and things like that too, where,
Sure.
you know, I've been in a taxi trying to get down Nadine when they were building the house near Newport, and they had trailers on both sides of the street. The guy had to back up and go another way. Now, that's no big deal for me, but I'll tell you, that would be a big deal for an emergency vehicle. And I've had that discussion with the chief, and it's something we may have to look at. But at least for this is a very limited problem. I mean, look, we moved 3,400 tons of trash in August of 2014. If we have to move some snow around, because the resident makes a good point who spoke. I mean, he isn't gonna wait till May to park on the street. I agree with him. But on the other hand, it's a very small matter to deal with compared to the overall good we're trying to assure.
Well, the National Weather Service has told me that we won't have much snow this year, so it won't even be an issue.
Let's hope they're right. I hope they're right.
Any other public comment? Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the commission table. Any other comments on the motion on the floor? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Earlier this evening, we had a presentation of our annual audit. Raina was here, and briefly went over the audit. Tony, at this point in time, do you want to give us a very brief and concise recap of the findings of our auditor?
Yes, I certainly will. The city wound up with a net position that is, an asset base that is a little less than, in fact, the year before due to a change in the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, statement number 68, which has the city fund, or not fund, that is show for the first time on the balance sheet the unfunded liability for a pension. This is typical. Many communities have that situation moving forward. However, our net position is good. The city wound up with a fund balance that is still well in the black and represents about 40% of what is our annual expenditures. Typically, communities need to have and suggest to have by GASB 25% in fund balance. We have 40%. So by any measure, the city, through the flood and other very diabolical things that have happened in the last couple fiscal years, and certainly last fiscal year with the flood, has done very well. So I'm pleased to say that the city is on good financial grounds. We still are in a AA+ bond scenario today. Hopefully we will maintain that. The last piece of the puzzle, of course, is that our debt margin is a little larger than it had been in the past. That is, we have more room to levy debt because we've defeased some bonds in the last year. The rec center bonds and some road bonds were paid off. So the good news is that fund balance is doing very well, and we also have a little larger debt margin than we had in the past. So thank you very much, Commission, for that, and Mayor Paul, thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the 2014-15 financial statements as presented by the city auditors and authorize filing with the state treasurer?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would just thank Mr. Lehman and the city's auditing firm for a job well done, and I also appreciate the summary that you put together. You know, while 40% sounds great for our emergency fund, our undesignated fund balance, our budget stabilization fund, and it is great, I will tell you that, you know, the unfunded pension, healthcare liabilities, as well as we all toured the George W. Kuhn Drainage District facility yesterday. And, you know, as the televising of our sewer lines and the cleaning of our sewer lines continues, and we start collaboration on a regional solution to prevent future flooding, this money goes away pretty quick, because these are all very big ticket items. So as we move into the next budget year, you know, we're gonna have to look big picture at these things and see, you know, how much of that we may have to very well dip into, and more, to try to fund some of these projects, so.
Any other comments? Public participation? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I assume that you will take care of filing it with the state treasurer, Mr. Lehman.
We will, thank you.
Agenda item number 3 is a matter of authorizing the allocation of the 2016 CDBG funding. We had a public hearing on that earlier this evening. Any other comments, Amy?
No.
And we have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that the city of Huntington Woods utilize the 2016 Community and Development Federal Block Grant funding in the amount of $9,036 for the following program categories: transportation, driver wages, $2,710, removal of architectural barriers in the City Hall restrooms, $2,500, and Oakland County Community Home Improvement Program allocation, $3,826.
Support.
Any comments? Any questions from City Commission? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 4 is the board and commission committee appointments. I'm going to start with the mayoral appointments. There are 4 different boards and commissions that the mayor appoints volunteers to, and then after that we'll move on to the city commission. I'll do one board at a time, and at that point ask for the city commission to make a motion one way or other on my appointments. For the planning commission, I would like to reappoint Andrew Doctroff to a second term ending in year 2018, and appoint Aaron Sullivan to a term to expire in 2018.
Make a motion to accept the reappointment of Andy Doctoroff to the Planning Commission and appointing Aaron Sullivan, their term expiring in 2018.
Second.
Support.
Any discussion? If the public has a comment on any one of these, if you could raise your hand when we get to it, otherwise I'm not gonna ask each time as we go through every one of these boards, so. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Moving on to the Library Advisory Board, I would like to appoint Laura Archambault for a 3-year term expiring in 2018, Judy Goldsmith to a 3-year term expiring in 2018, and Steve Pollack to a 3-year term expiring in 2018.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to confirm the appointments of Laura Archambault, Judy Goldsmith, and Steve Pollack to the Library Advisory Board, all expiring in 2018.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. The Historic District Commission, I would like to reappoint Kate Dighton to a term expiring in 2018 and appoint Louise Wibbleman and Irene Jurwich to terms expiring in 2018.
Support.
Second.
Is there any opportunity to discuss it before? Okay. Mr. Mayor, with respect to the boards and the commissions, I know our policy has been to allow people to serve additional terms, consecutive terms, in situations where we have no applicants. I think that that's a reasonable solution. However, when we have new applicants and several that we could choose from, I think we need to reconsider and perhaps going forward interview the people that would like to serve multi-consecutive terms. But that being said, going back and looking at some of the people that applied for Historic District Commission, there was one that stood out that I thought I would like you to reconsider. And he's an architect. It's Andrew Danaher. He's an architect. He's got experience with preservation. He's done a lot of work with the Opera House. So I do believe that he would be a preservationist or preservation-minded, which I do understand is a concern when serving on the Historic District Commission, and that he has studied historical architecture in Italy. So I would just submit him as a possibility for reconsidering for one of the positions.
And I put a lot of time into considering my appointments here, and I thought it was very important to watch the state guidelines very closely to make sure that we did have 5 members that were preservationists and had experience with historic districts. And the other aspect of my appointment was someone that lived in the district. That was something I heard a lot of during the campaigning earlier this year. So that was the reason for one of my appointments as well. So I respect your input there and your opinion, but I'm going to stick with mine for now.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, generally I would agree with everything Commissioner Iverson said. You know, the more folks we can bring forward, the better. And there are some boards where we can't find folks, and so reappointing becomes necessary. I considered that, but this individual we're reappointing meets a sort of unique niche in the statute, which requires that we appoint someone who has a active membership on a recognized historical society, and this is the only individual that I'm aware of that meets that unique statutory niche.
That is true.
So in this instance, I kind of felt like if she's willing to continue to serve, let's keep her on there, and then you know, going forward, if we get another applicant that also meets that unique category in the statute, then we can, you know, consider appointing them at a future date.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, Kate comes out of the Eastern Michigan program, which is probably the best in the state. The other part of that is we are supposed to have an architect on there, and that architect is Chris Vogelheim at this point in time. So we would have ended up with really 2 architects and lost really. It's nice to do restoration work, but Eastern is the major program that a lot of people graduate from, and there's a lot of leadership that comes from that. So I think it was much more a balancing act to get both the architect and to get a historic preservationist from a recognized program, who's been doing that for a long time. So it's not new.
Okay. I thank you for considering.
Yeah, another, I think, important aspect that we need to, going forward, need to let everyone in Huntington Woods understand a little better is the requirements of the Historic District Commission. And I know we've been talking about having a town hall meeting regarding the Historic District, and administration is putting the finishing touches on that program or presentation. But part of that presentation that now I'm adding to your presentation could be to explain to everyone the restrictions that we are under and what we're looking for in people that would help us and the community going forward, too. All those, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The Ethics Board is my final appointment. I have a reappointment of Jamie Powell Horowitz for a 3-year term expiring in 2018.
Move support.
Support.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What I thought we would do with the commission appointments is go one board at a time, starting with the mayor pro tem, and circle the table a couple times.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, with regard to the commission appointments for the Zoning Board of Appeals, I would move to reappoint Glenn Lapin and Gail Linden to a term expiring in 2018. I would move that we appoint from an alternate member to a regular member, Gordon Glidden and Todd Spurl, for a term expiring in 2017. And I would move to appoint Mitch Meisner and Joseph Klea as alternates to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term ending in 2018.
Second.
Did I miss Gail Linden in that?
She was
No.
mentioned in there. She's
You
on
did?
there. Mhm.
Okay.
You got her.
All right. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Olsman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, I would move that we reappoint Melanie Myers, Michael Caesar, and Eric Gerbitz to terms expiring in 2018. That we appoint Jeff Eisen to a term which will expire in 2018. I note that we need a student rep, but that's something I assume you will exercise your good discretion in and find us one.
I'll see if we can work on that.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senior Advisory Committee, Commissioner Jenks.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the reappointment of Susan Whitus. She only served 1 year in her first term. James Spear and Lynn Feinberg. At this point in time, since there was a conflict in time with one of the candidates, I believe that becomes a remaining vacancy.
That fills.
Who did you have as recommendation?
Susan Whitus.
Oh, Susan was the,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Environmental Advisory Committee, Commissioner Iverson.
All right, I will make a motion to reappoint, I'm not sure if I see how you word it. I'm gonna say Ewa Golbiowska, to reappoint her for another term and to appoint Aaron Reddish to the Environmental Advisory Committee for
Support.
term ending in 2018.
Support.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board of Review, Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we reappoint Kevin Keller and Irv Fishman to the Board of Review for a term expiring 2018.
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget Advisory Commission, Commissioner Olsman.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we reappoint, Chris Bigliotti and Molly Tripp to terms expiring in 2018.
Second?
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I might add that there is one member still needed on the Budget Advisory Commission at this point. Construction Property Maintenance Board of Appeals, Commissioner Jenks.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to report that we need one more member.
I have that we have two members that need to be reappointed.
I missed them.
Don Pratt and Don Turner.
Yes.
And the reappointment of Don Pratt and Don Turner.
Yeah, I don't,
Okay.
okay,
It's on this backup list. It is on
okay,
there.
all right.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public Art Beautification and Tree Advisory Board, Commissioner Iverson.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reappoint Pamela Haxton to the BART Board, and note that we need 2 more members.
Support.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that completes agenda item number 4.
Mr. Mayor, one comment I would, if folks are watching at home or folks are in the audience and they've heard about some of these vacancies and they're interested, it's not too late to turn in an application. And I think the commission would probably be amenable to interviewing someone before a city commission meeting. We could get here 15 minutes earlier and squeeze in an interview, so we can try to fill some of these vacancies that exist.
Yeah, and we will, the e-blast will include what boards and commissions still need members, and we'll
Great.
push that out as well.
Thank you. Next agenda item is a matter of appointing a city commissioner as a voting member of the planning commission. I would recommend appointing Jules Olsman as our commission representative for a 1-year term.
Second?
Actually, I need
Oh, you need a
Motion.
motion?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
thank you.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, I'm assuming Commissioner Olsman is accepting that role.
I am. Ready to rumble.
Okay, also, annually, we appoint members of the city commission to be liaisons to the various boards and commissions. This is something that we rotate through every year, so I would like to have a motion to appoint Commissioner Jenks to the Beautification, Public Art, and Tree Board, and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, as well as our MML Legislative Coordinator. And then appoint Commissioner Iverson to the Environmental Advisory Committee Liaison and the Historic District Commission. Further, appoint Mayor Pro Tem Rozell to the Library Advisory Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals. We've already appointed Commissioner Olsman as our rep on Planning Commission. Also appoint him as liaison to the Emergency Response Task Force, and appoint myself as the liaison to the Senior Advisory Committee and the Communication Committee.
Move support of those appointments.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is a matter of appointing a delegate and an alternate to the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, better known as SEMCOG, of which we are fortunate enough to have the chairman of SEMCOG amongst us. And I think in order for him to serve as chairman, he is required to be either our delegate or our alternate. So if you're very nice to us today, we might get a motion to do that.
I'll move to appoint Commissioner Jenks to the SEMCOG position.
Which one?
whatever you wanna be, Commissioner Jenks, whatever you need to be on there, delegate.
I can be
and-
either one, but I'd
Well-
like to be the delegate.
Well, then I would move that you be the delegate.
And would you like to appoint me as an alternate?
Sure. See how easy I am?
All right, do we have a second to that?
I
Second.
second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A question, it should be revealed perhaps beforehand what the salary is so that there's no conflict.
Just
Salary is $1 less than my pay
It's
is.
just it's just necessary.
Don't wanna get an ethics complaint.
Your MML legislative coordinator, that's enough of an appointment for the MML? Or is there a further,
MML doesn't care.
okay. All right. Agenda item number 7 is, we did vote on that, didn't we?
We did, yes, we did.
A bid award, for some improvements at the Gillum Recreation Center. Amy?
Yep, we went out for bids to do updates to the pre-K and the art activity rooms at the recreation center. This is a budgeted item. The low bidder was Ryan Cabinetry, Executive Kitchens and Office Products. We're recommending that you award the bid to those individuals, and Mary Gustafson is here from the rec department if you had any questions about exactly what kind of work was gonna be done there.
We saw the condition of these cabinets and countertops at a recent tour of the, yes, they are, if not original, they're very, very old and desperately in need of some work.
Updating.
Updating.
Mr. Mayor, I would echo that on my new commissioner orientation. I did get an opportunity to tour this building and notice that not only are they in need of replacement, but they just don't work for the young folks that are utilizing these rooms. The sinks are really built at a height for an adult, and so the kids are having to really struggle to get into the sink to wash their hands. They happen to be there during the tour, and so this is really going to sort of retrofit this room for what it's designed for, and that is young folks in there. And so this is a very good thing for a lot of various reasons, and so I'm supportive of that.
Second.
Any discussion?
You want a motion before you discuss?
I thought that was,
got
I made a motion.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, bid award of matter of approving the sale of two of the former police cars, the 2009 Crown Victoria and the 2010 Crown Victoria.
So move.
Any seconds?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is a matter of consideration approving the banks, brokers, and dealers used for the city's deposits in the upcoming 12 months per our investment policy.
I really don't have any other comment on this other than that it seems like every other week banks are changing their names and so forth. And not to mention that we make sure that these individuals who we deal with understand what we can do in the state of Michigan regarding investing public funds. And so just because you see a Merrill Lynch on here or a Raymond James or a whoever that might be, doesn't mean that they understand what it is can be done with public funds. And it's our goal through our investment policy to see to it that we, to the extent that we can be, are held harmless by instructing these individuals as to a review of what is applicable under Public Act 20. And so it's important that we do so. The auditor, Raina Emmons and her firm looked over this carefully. And that's here for your update, review and update.
That was a lot to say for not having much to say.
It was only about 25 seconds, which is pretty good for me.
Do we have a motion to accept?
So move.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next agenda item is a matter of reconsidering a couple of the meeting dates that we have set for the 2016 City Commission meetings. Amy, do you want to?
Sure. Commissioner Iverson brought this to my attention, that the two October dates are the last date of the two Jewish holidays, so we're recommending that the meeting times be changed from 7:30 to 8 o'clock to accommodate that, and also the February 15th meeting falls during the school district's midwinter break, and so we recommend moving it to the following week, which is February the 23rd.
And moving the February meeting also allowed for a good even spacing between the January and March meetings, so it served a dual purpose there. Although our charter does call for us to meet on the first or third Tuesday of each month at 7:30, I think these are reasonable changes that we can move the date for, as much as we try not to do that. Do I have a motion to accept these changes?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4 reports and minutes have been presented. Do we have any comments or questions from the City Commission?
I'll move we receive and file, Mr. Mayor.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Thank you. All right, reports and minutes are received. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Good work there, Council.
Reports are received and filed. Warrant number 305, does anyone have a motion to accept, subject to full audit?
So move.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this point, it's one more final opportunity for public participation. Do we have anyone from the public? Seeing none, public participation is closed, and we'll move on to our city manager's report.
All right, just a couple of things. DPW wanted me to remind you that we do have one extra date for yard waste pickup by our waste hauler, Tringali. It'll be this Friday, December 18th, so if there's anything that you would like to get out to the curb, be picked up with yard waste, you do have one more opportunity. The yard waste program will begin again in April. If you have anything after December the 18th, you can either hold it until April, or you can deliver it to Sacra. And while we're talking about yard waste, it also has come to our attention that residents will post on Nextdoor website that they have free items available at the curb. And any items that are placed at between the curb and the sidewalk that are there before, when it's not pickup time, technically is illegal, and you could be issued a ticket for that. So we would encourage you, if you have free items that you're gonna be giving away, that you keep it up near your house or on your porch, so that you don't risk being issued a ticket for having rubbish out at the wrong time. We do have the holidays coming up, so while all the offices will be closed on Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, the rec center will be open on Saturday and Sunday following Christmas and following New Year's holiday. The library will be closed the weekend after Christmas, but is open the weekend after New Year's Day. And Hometown Herald has been mailed out, and they're accepting registration for classes in fruit camp. And that's all I have.
Okay, any questions of the city commission for city manager? Thank you very much. Commissioners' remarks. Start with Commissioner Olsman.
I just want to wish all of our residents a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, happy and healthy 2016.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Following the new the new commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just also wish everyone a very happy holiday season and wish everyone safe travels if they're going outside of town to visit with relatives and family. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Iverson.
Yes, first of all, I want to congratulate Commissioner Olsman of his upcoming daughter's wedding, and enjoy your time. I'd also like to say for the residents celebrating Christmas, if you're interested in joining, or even if you're just interested in joining in festivities, the church I go to, Kensington Community Church, does a huge production for Christmas Eve, and they have lots of services, so I'll post that on my Facebook page for anyone that's interested. And I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Commissioner Jenks.
I have a couple of pages here, but I've got it short, since you've all given me a lot of time. One of the things that was discussed earlier was the audit and the problem that we are financially constrained. The two organizations that I'm involved with, one MML and the second one SEMCOG, which you appointed me to, are both looking at the municipal finance model. It works fine when the economy goes down, your taxes go down. But once they go down, they never go back up. I won't bother you with some of the different points, but just point out, at this point in time, we're spending about $850,000 to get Plant Moran audits, a lot of lobbying work. We are involved with the governor's office, who has a concern in some of those areas. And we hope to get a little bit more financial and fiscal responsibility on the part of the legislature. They've come out with, in the last few weeks, one is instead of being able to vote for single party, you will now have to do it line by line. Mr. Roselle can explain what the time factors are there, but it will end up costing us a lot more money. A spring primary will cost us a lot more money. Every time the legislature does something, they don't back it up with additional financial funds. I'll tell you more about this as I learn more. Happy holidays for the Hanukkah that ended, for the Christmas that will be coming, for Kwanzaa that will be present. Let's all remember what those holidays stand for and try and practice them in our daily living. For my colleague who is no longer here, Commissioner White, if you're out running in the warm weather in the street, or you're riding your bicycle, put lights on it, put reflected tape on it, run against traffic. If you come to public safety, you can get strips that you can put on that are reflective. Don't play fool a car. One of these days, the runner will lose. Happy holidays.
Thank you. As Mayor Pro Tem Roselle mentioned earlier, we had the opportunity as a city commission to tour the George W. Kuhn Drain yesterday. Found the facility pretty amazing, very interesting. Jim Nash, the Oakland County Drain Commissioner, was also there and gave us a little bit of input as to how regionally we can address some of the issues that all of us in the 14-town district, even though it's better known as the 12-town district, have. And as a matter of fact, they're holding a meeting this Friday that Commissioner Iverson is going to attend on behalf of Huntington Woods with a lot of other communities to start working on some collaborative efforts in the whole county. So we're looking forward to working with them and moving forward on that, hopefully helping to solve some of our issues. With that, I would also like to wish everyone a safe and a happy holiday, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
That sounds